Welcome to the Persecution Report. I'm Greg Musselman. Coming up, a suspect has finally been arrested for the March 2008 bomb attack at a Jewish settlement that severely injured the teenage son of a pastor. Also, a church in Sri Lanka is attacked. Then, believers in a church in Vietnam are arrested. Later.
I've said to the Lord that many people have come prepared with swords and sticks. Lord, I can't do anything. I am all alone. You are my only fortress, so take care of me.
Purna's story of courage and survival coming up later on the Persecution Report. A suspect has finally been arrested for the March 2008 bomb attack in the Jewish settlement town of Ariel that severely injured Ami Ortiz, the teenage son of a Messianic pastor. 37-year-old Yaakov Tadel, an American-born man reportedly behind a number of other deadly terror attacks over the past decade, was arrested in the bombing. Although he continues to face challenges, Ami has made an amazing recovery. Parents were deeply affected by the arrest and are praying for the suspect.
We're not only called to love our friends, we're also called to love our enemies too.
Christians living in Palestinian areas are often caught in the middle of conflicts between Israel and Islamic militants controlling the Palestinian Authority. A Somali Christian woman, 45-year-old Amina Muse Ali, was murdered in her home in Galkayo in Puntland region of Somalia by 3 masked members of a militant Islamic group. Ali had earlier received threats from militants for not wearing a veil, showing her adherence to Islam. They'd reportedly been monitoring Ali for some time as they suspected her of being a Christian. Ali, a longtime believer, had been actively involved in the underground church and the Somali Christian Brothers organization, a movement that had been targeted several times by militant Muslims. The persecution of Christians is severe in Somalia, and many have fled to neighboring countries. Also, a number of believers have been martyred and others publicly targeted for execution. A mob of about 200 people surrounded the Jesus Never Fails Good News Center in Kaswada, Sri Lanka. They shouted threats to kill the pastor, accusing him of unethical conversions, demanding he stop conducting healing services. A large protest march led by members of the JHU, which in English is known as the National Heritage Party, preceded the violent attack. The protest and the attack were reaction to the death of 2 women brought to an open-air healing service conducted by the pastor at a church in Colombo. A spokesman for the church said the women came on their own free will, seeking divine healing, and that they died on admission to the hospital and not at the healing service. Police were called in to stop the attack, but were unable to prevent damage to the building. And here's another example of how authorities in Vietnam continue to harass Christians. Local officials came into a full gospel house church as the Christians were worshiping. The believers were told they did not have official permission to meet, so they could not have religious meetings. This was not the first time the church had been raided. One church member reported, "We were still gathering together for a service meeting since this is a necessary spiritual need. At 3 p.m., many district security officers came into my house. At that time, we were having a service meeting, and they came and stopped, then dismissed us. We stopped and explained to them that we had made the application of permission already, but they still blustered." Unidentified church members say 2 men were then aggressively taken out of the house, and the women were also physically removed. At the district police station, the Christians were accused of gathering illegally, and one brother was threatened to be beaten if he returned. 2 Christians who were arrested by officials following an Islamic attack on believers in Gujarat, Pakistan, were brutally tortured and abused by authorities. 32-year-old Naveed Masih and his 25-year-old brother Nauman were arrested in early September for rioting with deadly weapons and spreading terror with firing. Naveed had been accused of firing shots in the air and at the feet of Muslims in an attempt to disperse them during the August 1st violence. However, both brothers deny using weapons and believe they have been targeted because they provided shelter to over 300 women, children, and seniors on the day of the attack. Now, during their 18-day illegal imprisonment, the brothers were beaten and hung upside down and denied sleep. We continue to receive reports from Orissa in India, where Christians still face severe opposition from militant Hindus who are determined to destroy Christianity. The man in our next story has not let a severe attack dampen his desire to serve Jesus and spread the gospel. Purna Chandradagal bears the scars of a terrifying event that occurred on August 25, 2008, and nearly claimed his life.
At 11 in the evening, they were shouting slogans to their Hindu gods. There were about 150 people. When I heard that, I left my house and I hid myself.
Purna ran into the jungle and watched as the mob set his house on fire. After he thought they left, Purna returned to his house to recover some of his belongings.
The mob returned and attacked me and beat me brutally with big sticks, stones, and hit me in the head and the face with a knife, and I also lost a tooth.
Purna was also beaten on the leg and as a result is not able to walk properly. During the attack, the 48-year-old husband and father of 8 prayed to the Lord.
I said to the Lord that many people have come prepared with swords and sticks. Lord, I can't do anything. I am all alone. You are my only fortress, so take care of me. I was bleeding severely. I didn't think I would survive.
Purna then lost consciousness, and the mob left him to die. However, 2 Christian men found him and took him to a hospital in a nearby village 8 kilometers away, where he received some basic first aid.
When my wife heard about what happened to me, she and one of my daughters came out from the jungle and took me back to the jungle.
Purna, his wife Basanti, and some of their children had spent 3 days in the jungle when a group of 15 Hindu militants found them.
We were threatened that if we didn't go back to our village and stay here, they would take our lives. That night, we returned to our village.
4 days after the brutal attack, Purna finally received proper medical care. His story was reported by a local newspaper. Later, his family went to live in a nearby relief camp.
For 3 months, I was unable to get up from my bed. I got treatment at a Christian medical place.
Purna is thankful to the Lord that he and his family are still alive.
No one in my village died, but nearby 4 or 5 people I knew died.
Purna believes he was targeted because it was well known that he is a Christian. But the attack that left him injured and his home destroyed has not weakened his faith. In fact, he says it's had the opposite effect.
Through this, I know that God has helped me, so that increased my faith. There are 300 families in the area where I now live, and we are the only Christian family. So I want to see my children grow in their faith and see them in the mission field, so through my children, these 300 families may come to the Lord.
Purna's story and those of other persecuted Christians in Orissa State are included on a brand new DVD entitled Indian Voices, Testimonies of the Persecuted, and the video details the widespread violence against the followers of Jesus Christ in Orissa State and their amazing faith in the midst of persecution. You can order the DVD by going to persecution.net and then clicking on the online catalog. Well, continue to pray for our brothers and sisters in Christ in India and around the world who are persecuted because of their love for Jesus Christ. Help us to help them. Find out by going to persecution.net. Remember, when one part of the body suffers, we all suffer. Goodbye, and God bless.
For more information on the ministry of the Voice of the Martyrs and ways in which you can help the persecuted church, please visit our website at persecution.net. That's persecution.net.